Good evening, Ducks. Forgive us for the delay in our show beginning today. We had some slight technical difficulties with things that were not quite going right, unfortunately. So we've been trying to get our guest Shane to pop up here on the system, but for some reason that is just not happening at the moment. However, welcome to the Flying V Mighty Ducks review. Tonight we are going to be talking about episode 3 called Breakaway. Now, I'm going to attempt here to welcome Shane. Let's see what happens here with that live feed because, like I say, it's hasn't been going so well thus far for us. If there are any experts out there for these streaming platforms, maybe let us know why my handsome friend Shane only comes up as a black screen. Take a look at that. I don't see anything at all, unfortunately. So there you have it. As I take a look here, no, it still looks like it's just a black screen. We will most certainly get Shane here, and hopefully his camera will start to work at some point. I'll bring him on the stream. So that sucks. I was looking forward to discussing it with him tonight. So take a look here. We can bring up our screen here so I can welcome all you guys. Thank you so much for watching along. What a pleasure. So cool to hang out with you guys, man. All right. There we go. Everything's loading up. Man, the things, doing these things live and by the seat of your pants, as they say, you're going to have technical difficulties. Not everything is going to go off how you want it to go off. But at the very least, we can hang out together and talk about the Mighty Ducks. So say good evening in the chat. That should show up on the screen here. And we can talk all about our show. So episode 3. We start with a recap of the first 2 episodes, including the Don't Bothers. Love it. You don't bother, sir. The Don't Bothers raiding the Lost and Found at the Duck Complex, where Evan found his lucky stick. We open on our team. And again, I want to say apologies to Shane, because on his side, ladies and gentlemen, it looks fine. He's given all permissions required. On his side, he can see himself in his video. But on our side here, we can't see anything. So I'm not sure what's happening there. It sucks. I really want Shane to join us. But my apologies, Shane. We'll definitely have to get you back at another point. The show opens with the team at the Ice Power watching game footage of their defeat to the Cardinals. Coob says that he should have stayed in his basement where he had a chair with cup holders. Bombay enters. He wants to know why no one is eating nachos or drinking hot cocoa. The gang say they would, but they can't find the counter girl, Winnie. $2 hot cocoa that costs 2 cents to make is what keeps the lights on in this place, says Bombay. Now, did this out of order, but before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, please understand this is spoiler heavy for the show. We are literally discussing the show. Therefore, there are going to be spoilers, okay? So, don't yell at us later because you saw a spoiler, because that's literally what this is. Right. No, still unable to get our man on here. I don't know what's happening here. Okay. So, there's no cocoa being sold. It turns out she's outside, and her and the boyfriend are breaking up. And if you notice in these clips here, he's giving back her stuff. He hands her, like so many yoga mats. Unbelievable. How many yoga mats do you need? We basically learn now that Nick is essentially in love with Winnie. He seems to know a little bit too much about her, like exactly how long she's been dating Chad. How could anyone break up with her? She's amazing, he says. Bombay, what would be amazing is if she could multitask and be sad and make hot cocoa. Typical man of the people, Gordon Bombay. Evan and Nick now are having a little discussion, and we realize their next game is against the Mighty Ducks, and they are going to get smushed, perhaps. What do you guys think? Do you think they get smushed by the Ducks before we go into this one? I think we definitely do. We've got Kyle saying, good evening. Good evening, my friend. We've got Army Steve saying good evening. Good evening to you as well. Loved episode 3, says Army Steve. Loving Bombay getting into it. He is definitely into it at this point as well. Absolutely. He's definitely getting more excited. He's getting more involved here at this point of the show. So it's awesome. So obviously this next game is going to be against the Ducks. Nick says we get one player. If we get one sharpshooter player it could be a game changer. And hallelujah, because they said the name of they said the name of the show in the show, and that's always exciting stuff, isn't it? Now, or maybe I'm just too excited. They say they need to get Sophie to join the Don't Bothers. Now, for the reminder here, Sophie is the young girl that plays for the Ducks. She is definitely the Adam Banks of the series. She's the best player. She's the ringer. We know from set photos, that she obviously will join the Ducks. I mean, the Don't Bothers, but she has not as of yet. So they need to get her involved. They do some mud puck here where Nick tries to explain that she could technically be better off as the best player on a worse team, uh, as opposed to a great player on a great team, because she'll kind of get lost in the mix, if that works. Now they meet her at school and try to talk her into it. She's definitely more interested in her schooling, takes it really seriously. She does not at this point show much interest in joining the Don't Bothers. We had to practice at the Ice Palace, and pretty much as soon as practice gets going, we learn that Alex now has a notebook. It has hockey sticks on it. In this little book, she's written down plays that she found on the internet. Practice is quickly interrupted by Bombay on his Zamboni. He's got to do it now. He's super busy. He's super grumpy because he's also now doing all of Winnie's work. Alex says, look, if you want to help out, I'm really drowning here. I could really use some help. Bombay says, you want some help? I say, stop playing hockey. She kind of sulks a little bit, turns around. Good evening, Vic. The coob to my Leesy. She kind of walks off, and Bombay stops her and says, Alex, and you kind of think he's going to do something nice, but he says, get out of the way. So he's still not interested at all. Now we cut to Nick, who says that obviously Sophie's not interested, so it's time for phase 2, which is the charm offensive. We get to see all of the team here have a little bit of action. Logan starts the hair, of course. He tries to charm Sophie, offering her hair tips. He says, I can help you double that volume at least. Maya, the popular girl, says that she loves her shoes. Sam, the daredevil, he scores her free snacks from the vending machine. He says, no, I know these are your favorite. So he shows those up there. Now, what else do we get here? Oh, a great moment here. Again, my friend Vic said that he's planning to sue Disney because they stole his likeness and personality for this character here, Coob. He just kind of stares at her, yes, and walks off. And Evan goes on to tell us that that's him being charming. That's him, trying to charm her, I suppose. Didn't work out so well. Sophie's still not interested. Evan gifts her with like a weird silk scarf, and he says, "Look, let's go for pizza tonight." She's more interested in her math test, and she's got to make sure she gets great grades because her parents work her really hard, right? He says, let's just get pizza. No team talk. Let's just get some pizza. Can we get some pizza? Can't two people get some pizza? So they go to get pizza so they can study for their math test. Now, we have Alex at work where she's working at the Ducksworth place. And she's Googling Gordon Bombay at this point. So this is where she pulls up the article that you would have seen in the trailer. It does mention that Gordon Bombay had a short run in the NHL before taking over coaching at a college program. So this would be after all the Duck films, chronologically speaking. He was asked to leave that coaching program after 6 months. So I have a feeling we may find out more about that. In fact, I know that we will. So while Sophie and Evan are having pizza studying for the math test, there's this awkward moment. The server comes over and, aren't you guys cute? Are you on your date? Sophie is adamant to say that they are not on a date. Enter one of the Ducks. This is Trevor. Now, where are you, Trevor? I got a picture of this little D-bag. Look at this dude. Unfortunately, he comes in and he's kind of just picking on Evan, saying, "Oh, yes, now everybody wants to make sure they're not the next worst player like you. Ha ha. Check it out. My mom gave me a 50, and right, I hate this kid." You get this lady. Turns out this is his mom and his sister. So of course, Alex's boss, the lady that we already strongly dislike because she's rude, right? It turns out that this little dude, the Ducks' current goalie, is her son. What's that expression about apples falling from the tree or something? Yeesh, they're both jerks. I don't know why the comments aren't showing up either, guys. The joy of life stuff. You just never know what's going to go down. Right. Having their pizza. We cut back now to Sophie says, I don't know why these dudes have to be so rude. He says, that's just what ducks do, man. Because, the ducks are not the good guys at this point. Uh, we're back at the Ice Palace. This is a wonderfully cute little scene where Nick is trying to comfort Winnie, right? Because she's had this dude break up with her. And he obviously is in love with her, right? So he's trying to comfort her and help her out and make sure she's not too sad. She's devastated, obviously, because she lost the guy who provides the cocoa, man. He's the cocoa guy. And he says, so what? She just delivers cocoa. Or he just delivers cocoa, and she says, and I just serve it. Bombay's not happy because Bombay's grumpy. He shows up and he says, you know what else would help? Maybe untangle some skates. So he's doing his full-on curmudgeon so far in this episode. Loving it, just grumping around the place because he has to do all this work that she should be doing. Okay. We're back at the Ice Palace. We had that part. All right, this is the cool part of, you saw this in the previews from last week. So we're back at the Pizza Palace. An empty box gets dropped off. The girl says, we didn't order that. And he opens the box. He says, look, you got to join our team. You're a don't bother. So take the jersey and join my team. You can be captain. So he offers her the C, which is really a nice touch. It's kind of very important in hockey. So it's very kind of him to do that. He wants her to join the team, right? Sophie is finally starting to consider, because he knows deep down she is one. She doesn't agree to join at this point, but she does take the jersey home. Her mom finds it. She's not happy about this. Sophie explains to her mom the whole money puck thing. If I'm the best player on a weaker team, my stats may look better. Her mom says that's ridiculous. We go back to the Ice Palace for practice. The don't bothers are about to have their practice. Chad the Cocoa guy comes in. He gets cut off by Nick. He says, you know who I am? He says, I know your product. Chad's bringing Winnie flowers. He basically says, all these other girls out there are crazy and she's pretty hot, so I'm going to try to get her back. Nick says, yeah, she's not here, but I'll take your flowers and I'll give her your message. Flowers. He says, cool. Thanks a lot, little man. We immediately cut to little Nick just throwing the flowers in the dumpster immediately. Gets cut off by Bombay. Bombay's saying, what are you doing? He basically says, sit down. We're going to talk. Nick says, I got to get to practice. He says, sit down. First, cool coaching moment here, I think. So Nick grabs a seat. He says, Winnie being sad makes him sad. He had to pour ketchup. Ketchup is slow, and that makes me sad too. Chad isn't right for Winnie, but neither are you. Bombay then tells a story about ending up in love with his babysitter. He tells Nick, look, it's not going to happen between you and Winnie. You need to move on. Nick kind of thinks he knew that all along, really. It's just that crush that you get. Someday, Bombay says, you'll find a Winnie of your own, but until then, you're going to give her those dumpster flowers, and you're going to be done with it. Basic skating and shooting practice here for the don't bothers. And obviously, this is, you see our man, the weakest skater on the team. Logan falls onto the puck. And you see Bombay's watching them practice. And Bombay reaches in. He grabs the good lady's coaching notebook. He then does an absolutely terrible job of pretending to write things down because he's just kind of scribbling in this book. But it looks to us as though he has written down a secret play. Maybe he's more interested than we think he is. This part's amazing. We got a wicked Sophie sulk face. Check this out. She got a B on her test, man, and she is not happy. And in the best parenting story you kind of might ever hear, her parents tell her that the B is the new D. What a loser. Way too much pressure from herself and her parents. Sophie's really angry here, and she says, you know what? You can't pretend you're doing this for me. You just want to win, so you're doing it as much for yourself as you are for me. He says, yeah. Evan says, yeah, but at least we're the good guys. And the good guys always win in the end, or we learn a lesson about ourselves. And I think that may be what happens here when we come to, the nearing the end of this series. Will be the fact that if these guys don't win, they're certainly going to learn a great lesson. Now, maybe in my predictions later, I'll tell you that maybe I don't think the Don't Bothers will win this game, this final game of the season. Maybe that's just not ready yet. So Sophie's really angry. She says, "I'm not leaving your team. I'll see you on the ice, punk." She is not happy. So we cut to the hockey game now. Ducks v Don't Bothers, and it's a great scene of hockey in this. And of course, awesome dad is back, co-host the cast. But essentially, Sophie just manhandled the entire team. 1-0 Morrow. She says, "I'm just getting started." Now, no offense to our man Vic, but Coob is less than help. Kind of stands there. It gets to 17-0. 17-0. Ducks are demolishing Don't Bothers. Alex takes a look through her playbook and finds this bad boy. This is the play that Bombay wrote down for her in the book, one of his pee-wee hockey tricks, as they've been referred to before. So they're going to try it out. What I like about this is she calls the team over and she says, this involves all of you. You all have an important part to play. Don't Bothers win the face-off, and Evan passes the puck back to Coob. Now Logan skates over, pretends to fall onto the puck, and while the Ducks are trying to dig it out, we realize that Coob has the puck. He slides it off, hands it off to Evan. The referee shouts out, "Live puck!" Morrow's on the breakaway. Sam falls over, takes out two Ducks. It's now Evan v Sophie 1-on-1. Evan pulls a sick slide move, turns Sophie inside out, shoots, scores right in the top shelf where you keep the good whiskey. The wonderful, incredible, heroic Don't Bothers score their first goal. Oh, yeah. $17-1. Now, Evan scores on the goalie. Trevor, the dude, is now the goalie. He's from the pizza scene. He says, "Lucky shot." And Evan says, "I guess now you're the newest player on the team." Jerk. Don't Bother is ecstatic with scoring a goal. Alex screams, "Nothing but net." Pretty sure that's basketball. Sophie says to Evan, "Yo, it's 17-1, but that was a pretty cool move." And then we get two mean Ducks popping poor Evan out of nowhere. Unsportsmanlike conduct, 5 minutes each. That's play. Army Steve will agree with me. That's not Duck play. You don't play like that. Army Steve says they won't win the last game. They will just well done and a good luck for next season, but it will be a good game. I'm into it. They don't necessarily have to win. Stupid new Ducks. You can tell though that Sophie's not happy with this and with the check. Winnie is in the stands now. She wants to talk to Nick. He's obviously super excited, thinking she's into him. But she says, "I realize I need to be with a sweet dude, a kind dude." And then sent dating looks. Tell me if I'm wrong, folks. Does he not just look like Nick? Come on now. What are we doing here? Almost looks exactly like him. So that leads him to say, you know what? If he can get a girl, maybe I can too one day. They're starting to learn things about each other. Yeah, Army Steve says they're not the Mighty Ducks. They're the Hawks. Hockey's supposed to be fun. I agree with you completely. So Nick is sad, but realizes, you know what? It's going to be okay. The Don't Bothers are celebrating their first ever goal. Here comes Coach D-Bag. He calls them pheasants. Pheasants. He wants to know why they let that team even score one goal. Of course, as Army Steve just said, Coach Orion in the first film said, "Hey, stop celebrating. You should have destroyed this pathetic team out there." So it's very similar to this coach here. He hears them chanting. He says they're celebrating a loss. It's embarrassing. He's shouting at them. Sophie says, "Yo, we won by 16 points. Really, you're not giving us trouble for that." He says, "This was your fault anyway. I don't want to hear it." And tells them to get back on the ice in 5 minutes for practice. Cut out to the Don't Bothers. Another one of these wonderful scenes where, Alex is essentially telling the team, you know what? Maybe we don't need help from anybody else. Maybe we don't need anything but what we already have. Maybe we're enough. We're doing great so far. Sophie skates up and says, she skates up and she says, "I can't play for those Ducks. I'm joining the Don't Bothers." Alex says, "Oh, thank goodness. We need all the help we can get." This is a great scene when they pour the water on her head. And I really think if you look at the reactions, I think the guy playing Logan surprised her with this because her reaction is so natural and so funny as he dunks that water on her head. Really quite a nice scene. She says, "You guys are treating me like a real coach." Very cool. We cut to Bombay's office. He's like, "What's up?" She says, "Oh, you said come in." He's like, "I haven't said that in 10 years. What do you want?" She says, "We scored our first goal. Your play worked." And he's like, "What play?" And she's like, "The play you wrote in my book. I didn't write anything in your book." So he's still playing hard to get here, Bombay. She says, "I did some research on you. I know you really were the heart of the old Ducks. You got to be a pro at 34. You were the coach of the biggest college, one of the biggest college hockey programs in the country, and that you, Gordon Bombay, are the real Minnesota Miracle. Man, Bombay, why do you care so much?" And she says, "Because you care. You can make such a difference with these kids." And now we get the moment I think we've been waiting for since this series started, which is the explanation of the Bombay backstory, or at least a lot of it. He says he quit the Ducks when the Ducks changed. It just became about winning. Swift. He got to the NHL, he says, at 34. So, not that this is MCU, but we've got to talk timeline here. So, to clarify, beginning of D2, he's playing in the minor league AAA. That's not the NHL that he's referring to here. He then coaches Team USA. Then he gets the guys and girls into Eden Hall. Then he goes off to manage the International Hockey League when he leaves them at D3. He leaves them in this preppy school and dumps them. Army Steve says the part with Bombay made my heart flutter. I think it's supposed to, man. So after that, he says he joined the NHL. So when we talk about D2, Bombay's around 25. So if he's saying 34, it's quite a few years after that, right? So he says, "Yeah, I got to the big leagues. I played one shift, and a 19-year-old kid hit me so hard he tore my ACL in half, and knocked 4 teeth out of my head. It ended my career. But he got up and started an unstoppable college hockey program." A great theme of all these Duck stories and movies is he got back up. When I spoke to Matt Doherty, who plays Les Averman on my radio show, plug LW20 Radio, he said that what he learned from being a Duck and all his training and everything was to get back up when you fall down. Such an important lesson. And of course, the Google search we saw Alex do said he was there 6 months. So this college program, he said he built an unstoppable team, but he wasn't there very long. He says he broke recruitment rules, which are actually state law. So if you guys don't know, in the States, college teams, there's very specific state laws and recruitment rules around, like, you can't buy a kid a Ferrari and get him to join your team, right? So that seems like these are the rules that Bombay broke. He explains that he gave a kid money for tape for his hockey stick when he couldn't afford it. Now, I love the show and I love the story about it, but this part seems a little bit weak. I mean, you would think that the college would be providing tape for their sticks. He could have said he needed money for food or something, but I'm not pulling at threads. I'm not complaining. I'm so happy that we have a Mighty Ducks series. I'm just saying. He said, by the way, that player now plays for the Islanders. That's a cool plug because the creator of the show, Stephen Brill, that's his favorite team. He sneaks them into lots of different things. Even that movie Heavyweights, one of the kids is wearing an Islanders jersey. So Bombay goes on to explain, "I chased hockey my entire life and I have nothing to show for it except for the Ice Palace." He explains the Ice Palace was left to him by Jan along with a stack of debt. Now, again, clarify, this would be Jan from D2, who visited when Hans went back home to see their mama. She always liked him best. Jan is the one that got Bombay the job with Hendricks Hockey, that kept pushing him and telling him that you should be a coach for the USA team. And then, of course, Hans is there for the amazing Ducks Fly Together speech. So it turns out Hans left him this Ice Palace along with a stack of debt. So, of course, Hans passes in D3, meaning Jan lived past that and was able to then leave the Ice Palace to Bombay. Maybe he sold the skate shop they owned in the first movie. Who not sure. But Bombay says, "I don't hate hockey. I love it." And he says that's how all of this happened. Alex says that her and Evan's life isn't what she expected either, but she keeps going. She says Bombay can't just sulk and feel sorry for himself. You have so much if you want it. You have us. And while he's playing coy, Bombay now says, "So my play worked, huh?" And she says, it was so cool. It was only one goal, but it was so cool. Bombay sits down and you can tell he's kind of thinking things through. And she walks away and kind of leaves him there. We cut to Evan now. Like, it feels like a bit of a story because Sophie said she's in already. She's going to join the team. We've celebrated the fact she's on the team. But she now says she's going to have to clear it with her parents and they have to say yes. So a bit more drama for that as well. Get back to Bombay now at the Ice Palace. And Bombay. Oh, nice. I love it. Army Steve says Hans left the hockey shop to Charlie. Love it. Got goosebumps, Army Steve. Love that idea. So Charlie maybe has the hockey shop. Bombay loves that the play worked. We see him now walking through the Ice Palace. Now, I think he lives there. I don't think he has anywhere else to go. So I think he definitely, we're going to find out at some point he's sleeping and living at the Ice Palace. But we see him walk over to the big no hockey sign and he pulls it down. And that's just another sign that, you know what, he's ready. I think he's now ready to help out, which is super exciting. I want to take a moment to say thank you so much to the Hendricks Hockey, to our Team USA. Superpod, my friend Al over at superpod.co.uk. Superpod is a tremendous podcast festival hosted every year for charity. Please check it out. Check out the website because there's always events coming up and live streams. So thank you to Al and to Superpod for sponsoring our show. And thanks to Shane too. You know, we were going to get Shane on, but it's still just a black screen. So I don't know what's going on. I can't get him to come through, but please check out Sin City Comics and Gaming, based right here in South Wales. Tremendous local business that Shane, our friend, built from the ground up. We will have Shane back on at some point because he's a lifelong Duck fan. I'm sure there's lots of cool Duck related things you can talk about with him. There's a sneak peek of the next episode called Hockey Moms. I got a big like Cobra Kai vibe from this. Looks like every year there's a mom's challenge and the hockey moms kind of play like some skill challenges. And Bombay's out for a meal with you know, Alex, this chick. Where is she? This chick here looks like I'm so sorry I don't remember her character's name. This lady seems to be the mom champion of the hockey challenges. This is where I get the Cobra Kai vibe when Bombay says, "I'm a trainer. Alex will beat you in the slap shot challenge." So I think in the trailer where we've seen Bombay taking those slaps, that'll be kind of what we'll see. Where we'll see that. I think he's going to train her, and that's going to start building into them coming back. Bombay coming back and helping out with the Ducks. I want Alex to stay the coach, and maybe Bombay's just like assistant coach and helping out because it's her team and she deserves it. I don't think he gets to come in and take it away. Now we can talk predictions, I suppose, because lots of rumors, both mentioned and rumors, you know, looking at people's thought of what may happen in the show. Many people think, because of course, Alex has talked about her dad, or Evan's dad, and the fact that, you know, he's not in their life and it was a kind of one night thing. It was sort of a mistake, whatever it was. Many people now believe that this could be Evan's father, could be Charlie Conway. So let me know in the comments here, what do you think of that theory? I don't know. We don't know if the math works out and if we like that idea. Does it seem too obvious? The kid does look like Charlie Conway, but again, is it too obvious? Of course, we don't want to leave out good old Joshua Jackson with this amazing Charlie Conway image. But what do you think? Let me know. Could Conway be Evan's father? Did Hans leave the hockey shop to Conway? What happens the rest of the season? Army Steve and I both kind of think that they may lose in this one. But, you know, who knows? Again, it's not necessarily important that they win. It's important that they play hard with heart and have fun. That's what the big deal would be. So, not sure how the stream worked out. It seems okay. Lots of comments on the page here, so I think we're okay. Unfortunately, like we said, we didn't get Shane on the board, but we tried our best. We'll get him back another time. You can feel free to comment. The show's going to be available continually, so you can feel free to comment later on, and we can always come back to it next week. Vic says, I thought he was going to say Charlie Bucket. Now, or is Banks Evan's dad? Could be Banks. Could be. Now, of course, we always talk spoiler alert here. We don't want to spoil anything, but we do know some of the Ducks are coming back. Looks like Bombay brings them back, but they have not confirmed this man. They have not confirmed Charlie. You would think Charlie's got to come into it, don't you? I don't know. You got to. I don't know. I don't know. Now, I've told you guys last time there was an interview with the writer and creator Stephen Brill. He said he was able to score 7 ducks for the reunion episode, which will be, spoiler alert, episode 7 is the one with the OG Ducks. Now, he said 7. The press photos that have been shared only show 6. So is Charlie the 7th? I'm not sure. It'll be exciting to see what happens. It will be exciting to see if these guys come back in further episodes. And where they're going. You know, this is episode 3 of 10, so we have some time left. Super excited to see where the show goes. Thank you so much to everybody for watching along. Very cool of you. I hope you guys are enjoying this show as much as I'm king on Disney Plus, because the better the ratings are, the more people watching it, the more chance that we get a second season or a third season, or, you know, and so on and so forth. So, thanks to Superpod for Superpod. I'm Matt Lees. Check me out. I am at Matt Hitman Lees on all of the things, all of the stuff. Come back next Saturday, 7:30. We'll be live. We have scheduled guests. Who knows how that's going to go? No idea. But I sure like talking Ducks with you guys anyway, no matter what happens. So thanks for tuning in. I know Vic is coming up as a guest at some point. He's been scheduled in, as is Al Galpin, the man behind Superpod. Squee, he's going to be a guest at some point as well. Army Steve said he's going to be a guest at some point as well. So there you have it. Just as we always say, most importantly, remember that ducks fly together. Just checking for any last minute comments. No, great. So we will see all of you beauties next week, 7:30.
All right, let's go! Bird
Quack, quack, quack. See you next week.